year's repeat winner, Brennan Poole, wins at Pocono. Side by side, door to door, it's Buescher winning at Michigan. McReynolds makes the pass as they go through the triangle. McReynolds will win at Talladega. Unbelievably exciting races building up the 2012 season as it's the 60th anniversary season for the ARCA Racing Series. Gorgeous afternoon in Joliet, Illinois, as we get ready for the Ansell Activarmr 150 from Chicagoland Speedway. Sun shining above, 89 degrees the temperature has risen to. It's a little bit partly cloudy as we do see some sun peeking through those clouds, and the wind just 7 miles per hour. Hello everyone, Rick Allen, Phil Parsons with you once again as we're getting ready for the 12th race of the season, and this will be the 12th race here at Chicagoland Speedway for the ARCA Racing Series. But Phil, we are in an unbelievable stretch right now for this series.
We're smack dab in the middle of a 13 race and 14-week stretch here on all sorts of different racetracks. We've got short tracks. We're going to have a couple of dirt tracks later on in this stretch, as well as the road course super speedways. And ironically, this is the only mile and a half in that 13 race stretch.
Alex Bowman won his third race last week when we were in Iowa. Now we have a very interesting point battle building up here in the series.
Yeah, we certainly do. Chris Buescher came into that race 25 points behind Brennan Poole. It looked like it was going to be a horrible day for Chris Buescher. He had trouble. He was running back from the 20s. He got lapped. His guys continued to work on it. They found after the race that he had a broken front sway bar behind, but he was able to salvage a 13th place finish. So, and Brennan Poole, who dominated the early part of that race, cut a tire down, made contact with the wall, had a poor finish. Instead of coming out of there farther behind, Chris Buescher, comes out of there with a 45-point lead.
Very impressive run for the 17. And Buescher behind the wheel of that car. Now, we have another storyline that we're going to be following throughout this race. Venturini Motorsports really being honored this weekend here in Chicago.
Yeah, it's been a great week for the Venturinis. This is their 30th anniversary of being in the ARCA Series, and it's right here in Chicago, which is where Bill and Kathy, his wife, were born and raised. So it's a great deal to honor them. Bill was a two-time champion here in the series and such a long-time stalwart here in this series, and they have a bunch of cars in this race.
They do. They've got 5 entries, and they're all wearing a retro paint scheme, what we've seen in the Venturini Motorsports stables before. Let's get the engines fired. We go for the command.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, President and General Manager of Specialty Markets at Global Business Unit, Mr. Tom Deskovics.
On behalf of Ansell's 11,000 worldwide employees and your proud sponsor of the Activarmr 150, drivers, start your engines.
Cars all coming to life. That means the green flag is next. Stay with us here on Speed. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is presented by Ansell for over 100 years, the world leader in hand protection. Brought to you in part by AutoZone. For the auto parts, accessories, and advice you need, get in the zone. AutoZone. And by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs. And the car is beginning to roll out on this mile-and-a-half racetrack. Let's look back again during our 60th anniversary season on the decade of the 80s.
As the decade of the 1980s dawned, club founder John Markham's health was on the decline, and so was the national economy. Crowds were down, and only 9 races dotted the 1980 schedule. With only 8 races on the schedule in 1981, ARCA's future became even more tenuous when John Markham died suddenly on May 16th. Refusing to give up on what her husband had worked so hard to build, Mildred Markham kept the vision and went back to work. Soon the economy showed signs of life and the crowds returned, and ARCA's schedule began to grow. In fact, the schedule would more than double in size by decade's end. Help poured in from Big Bill France Sr., who offered up 2 races a year at Talladega. where young Davey Allison would drive to victory lane, giving the series some badly needed glow. France also introduced new track operators where the series would flourish at Pocono, Atlanta, and on the Springfield and DeCoin dirt miles. New heroes like Bob Dotter, Bill Venturini, Lee Raymond, Bob Keselowski, and Tracy Leslie all emerged as champions on a tour that was clearly back on the map.
And the Menards Pole Award presented by Ansell, won by the 55. That means that Kevin Swindell will bring the field to the green flag tonight, grabbing that Menards Pole Award presented by Ansell. Kevin Swindell got that pole award because of an issue with 25 of Brennan Poole not passing post-qualifying inspection, so Brennan Poole had to go to the back of the field. As we take a look at our Ansell Activarmr 150 starting lineup.
Yeah, great starting effort, qualifying effort for Matt Lofton. He will start outside of the front row. There's Nelson Canache. Good qualifying effort for him. And another one at Venturini cars. He's back in row number 2.
Looking back here in row 4, Alex Bowman, one of the hottest drivers in the series, will start alongside Frank Kimmel.
There's Frank's nephew, Will Kimmel, will start right behind in row number 5, along with our point leader, Chris Buescher.
Jared Marks behind the wheel of the 12 car this week. Tim Andrews will start inside of him. David Levine and Robert Rudoso will make up row 7.
There's Michael Levine inside row number 8, along with Josh Williams.
Milka Duno carrying one of our cameras. She'll start in row number 9. We'll have an interesting view of her perspective around this mile-and-a-half racetrack.
Saw highlights early on of Bobby Gerhart winning Daytona yet again.
Only 8 times has Bobby Gerhart been to victory lane at Daytona. Richard Harriman and Tommy O'Leary making up row 12.
How about James Hilton back in row number 13?
Only 77 years old, James Harvey Hilton.
Longtime ARCA competitor Darrell Basham back in row number 14.
In the 15th row, Mike Cook and Tim Turner starting side by side.
And there's Brennan Poole. Qualified on the pole. Time was disallowed. He will go to the back of the pack and will start from row number 16.
His teammate Mark Thompson will start on his outside. And you've got Roger Carter, Brad Riekmeyer. And let's head trackside to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. We've been documenting all year that this is the 60th anniversary of the ARCA Racing Series. But how about 30 years for Venturini Motorsports? It's really quite a milestone, and how appropriate that we celebrate that today here in Chicagoland, the home of this race team for many, many years before they moved to the South. 26 wins with 9 different drivers. That's very impressive. But maybe even a more important number today is 39 years of marriage between Bill Venturini and his lovely wife, Kathy. Congratulations to them. They'll have 5 cars rolling off in the field today. 3 of them will start in the top 4, but 2 of them are in the back. And for more on that, let's go to my good friend, Jim Trado.
And Ray, they all carry a different paint scheme from the different eras of Venturini Motorsports in those 30 years. The cars back in 31st and 32nd were very fast in practice. Matter of fact, Mark Thompson was top 10 in the Retro Paint Job celebrating the 1991 Venturini Championship with Big Bill behind the wheel. And to his inside, we mentioned earlier, Brennan Poole, fastest in qualifying, time disallowed from modification to the right rear quarter panel just ahead of the right rear tire. In post-qualifying inspection was out of bounds, so they said time disallowed, 15 points, no thanks. Brennan Poole, that number 25 car, was fastest in practice, fastest in the test here. He will be one to watch here. His crew chief is Billy Venturini, and Billy said, I think if we get in the top 10 in the first 20 laps, we should be okay for the rest of the race, guys.
Yeah, that'd be pretty impressive if they can make their way up to the top 10. We're going to ride along with a few different drivers, one of those being that 94 of Milka Duno that I talked about. She will start in the 18th position. We'll follow her up through the field.
We're also going to ride along in the Ansell Menards Toyota with our 9-time champion, Frank Kimmel. Frank will start back in the 8th spot. There's Frank right there. Good view of him. Getting ready for the start of this race.
And up a little closer to the front. Starting in the 6th spot, driving the Allegiant Air number 23 is Spencer Gallagher. So Spencer up there in the top 10. And a very strong car in qualifying.
Okay, let's go up to the front row. Matt Lofton will start his strutmasters.com Chevy from the outside of the front row. Great qualifying effort for Matt, 2-time runner-up this year, looking for that first win.
Field 2 by 2 as they work their way out of turn 4 into the tri-oval again. Side by side up front, Kevin Swindell, Matt Lofton. We're underway at Chicago. Swindell with a great start on the inside. Going to take the advantage into turn number 1. Lofton tucked in behind him, and now Swindell pulling out to a 3-car length lead as they move out of turn 2.
Yeah, the Venturini cars are really potent here. We had 3 of them starting up, actually 4 of them, 3 of them starting up in the top 4.
Early on, a wide racing surface here at Chicagoland. We're seeing 2 and 3 wide as they work their way through turns 3 and 4.
How about Brennan Poole moves to the outside of Bobby Gerhardt? We'll see where he comes along here when scoring resets and see how many spots he was able to gain.
Phil, how hard do you run it early, though, in this situation? The 25 has had right front tire issues, it seems like, the last 2 or 3 races.
Yeah, I think he wants to get by as many cars as he can pretty early on. Once he gets up into the top 10, some of the good cars, then I think he may settle down a little bit. We know that car is fast. It was fast in practice, fast in qualifying. The modification that they made didn't probably make that much difference, so he shouldn't lose much of his speed.
Going to get early on. It's Kevin Swindell out in front. Lofton running second. Nelson Canache. And then number 35, another one of the Venturini Motorsports entries, running third. And then a 4th Venturini car. Ryan Reed in the 15 running in the 4th spot. Frank Kimmel rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, there's Spencer Gallagher riding along with him in his Legionnaire Chevrolet. And back out of the throttle as he exited the corner. There's Chad Hawkenbaugh, the 58 car just in front of the 23. And there's Alex Bowman, 3-time winner, as you mentioned already this year.
And most recent winner came away from Iowa with another victory.
Goes sideways.
He goes, the 22 hanging on. Alex Bowman running 8th right now in a wild run.
See how much momentum he lost. Will Kimmel in the tilted kill forward pulls up behind him. There's Chris Buescher, the 17 on the inside.
Buescher looking to the inside of that 68 of Will Kimmel.
We talked about Chris Buescher's problems last week at Iowa, and I'm sure the Rulo brothers were shaking their heads at why that car was so evil during the race, and they found that broken part after the race, which explained what had gone on.
And now we see Buescher tucked in just behind that 68 of Kimmel.
Chris Buescher right now running in the 10th spot. Will Kimmel, the 68 and 9th.
Out in front, Kevin Swindell has a 1.5 second lead over Lofton.
Caution flag on the speedway.
Caution coming out early in this one. Issue on the backstretch coming out of turn number 2. That's the 69 of Corbin Forrester.
That's a team car to the 68 of Will Kimmel.
Corbin not able to get that car refired and headed the right distance or the right direction.
Look at the top of your screen. See him just gets a little bit sideways on the exit of turn number 2. Good break here for Brennan Poole. He had already made his way up into the top 15 in 5 laps from the back of the pack.
So pointed the right direction. Corbin Forrester will bring that to the attention of the crew. We're under caution. We'll be back for the green flag. Welcome back to Chicagoland Speedway here in Joliet, Illinois. The Ansell Activarmr 150 underway, and an early caution coming out as Corbin Forrester got turned coming out of turn number 2. Want to take a look at our Messina rookie spotlight, and today it is Matt Lofton. Let's hear from him. Right.
Well, Rick, you don't have to look far from the front to see Matt Lofton's Strutmasters race car. He is currently running in 2nd place, and it's been a very good season. Lofton 3rd in the points in the Messina Rookie Challenge, just 18 points out to the number 22 of Alex Bowman. But the real big highlight for him so far this season has been a pair of 2nd place runs. I was just listening to his radio a few minutes ago, and he said, we've got a car to be that good or better tonight. We're just a little bit free on a scale of 1 to 10 between a 4 and 5. So they're going to make a few chassis adjustments, but good track position right now for Matt Lofton. A good race car. They've punished very well in this particular car in the past. So we'll keep our Messina rookie spotlight on Matt Lofton the rest of the day.
Thanks, Ray. And you talked about those 2 second-place finishes. Probably couldn't have come at 2 more different racetracks, Talladega and Elko.
Exactly. 2.66 mile Talladega and a little tiny, it looks like a parking lot. Elko compared to Talladega.
Exactly.
Not the facility, just the size.
Single file restart for the ARCA Racing Series. Coming back out of the tri-oval. Green flag goes in the air. Kevin Swindell in front of Matt Lofton.
How about that restart by Frank Kimmel? Jumps by Nelson Canache to take over the 3rd spot.
And side by side for the 4th position now.
Teammates Ryan Reed in the 15 car and Nelson Canache in the 35. Chad Hockenbraugh trails right behind that side-by-side battle.
Down the back stretch they go, and here comes Kimmel racing for the 2nd spot now as he looks to the inside of Matt Lofton.
Canache drives back to the inside of Ryan Reed and will take back that 4th spot, or attempt to take back the 4th spot.
Those two continue side by side for 4th, and Ryan Reed is going to pull back out in front through the tri-oval.
That's when you're a car owner like Bill Venturini and you see your team cars racing side by side. That gives you some sleepless nights.
Yeah, especially 9 laps into this race. We're on lap 10 of 100. Again, a relatively short race here, only 150 miles.
Yeah, it really is 100 laps, 150 miles. As you see Canache and Ryan Reed side by side once again. You see Spencer Gallagher, the 23 car, has moved up the racetrack. You talked about how we can run 2 wide, 3 wide here. You can go all over this racetrack, and right now Spencer Gallagher has moved to the high side.
Jim Trano.
There'll be a bit of confidence for these 2 Venturini drivers. The yellow car ahead there, Nelson Canache, by far his best qualifying effort. He came into the race 10th in points, but he now has a driver coach that's been able to help him filter out what he calls distractions. Sean Case, race winner here for Venturini in the ARCA Series, is now coaching this driver. He's a Venezuelan with a lot of road racing experience, but here at this oval, he said he's more comfortable at the 1.5 miles, and Nelson Canache is doing a great job. Practice top 10, qualified top 10, running the 3rd spot. His teammate behind him, Ryan Reed, he has Brian Eichler helping him as a driver coach, kind of interpreting what the car does and relaying to the team. Ryan Reed in his first season here in the ARCA Series. They're both now running top 5. I'd say it's a good move by Venturini to hire some guys to help these young drivers adapt.
Yeah, great move by the Venturinis to get these young guys to driver coach. And you talk about Canache with his background being road racing. His best finish this year was on the road course at New Jersey. He finished 12th, but has a great run going as we watch Brennan Poole move to the inside of Tim Andrews. Right now, Brennan Poole has made his way up to the 12th spot. That's a battle for 11th.
Looking to break into that top 10. We heard a lot about driver coaches. Well, we've got a driver coach up here with us in the booth. Not you, Phil. I was looking past you, Justin Allgaier. Justin joins us up here in the booth, and thank you once again for joining us, Justin. I know you've been a part of a lot of ARCA races, and you're also a driver coach.
Yeah, it's fun to be up here again, and the ARCA Series has such a great dynamic to it because you've got guys like Frank that have been around the series forever, and you've got young guys that are obviously still trying to make their career, keep going, and it's good to be able to help guys like that need to learn because obviously they're going really fast around this racetrack, and it can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
We talked about it at Iowa. Actually, we did a feature, and the ARCA Series was so important to my brother Benny. If it hadn't been for the ARCA Series, he would have never been able to make the move to NASCAR and eventually become a champion. The ARCA Series did that for you as well.
Absolutely. I was very fortunate to run full time for a couple of years, and we pulled off the championship there in 2008, and obviously that was the springboard that I needed to start my career in the Nationwide Series, and it's just such a great series. There's no other series that races on all the different types of racetracks that they race on, and they get to be here this weekend in front of the NASCAR fans that are here, and they also get their own identity. They go to some of these other racetracks that NASCAR fans would love. I mean, the dirt races. I mean, I grew up racing dirt. I would love to see NASCAR on dirt, but they keep doing it with the ARCA Series and do a great job of it.
We're seeing right now Chris Buescher moving just in front of the 68 of Will Kimmel. We saw a little bit of action between Spencer Gallagher and Alex Bowman. Gallagher running in the 7th spot, Bowman in the 8th position. You take another look at that 25 of Brennan Poole. Again, he had to start at the back because of a post-qualifying inspection problem. And so he started at the back of the field after having the fastest car in qualifying. And now he has already been able to make his way up into the top 10, running in the 10th spot now.
Yeah, it looked like he, once he got up into the top 15, between the top 10, top 15, he's backed off a little bit. Still passing cars, but his rate of advancement has slowed a little bit.
7.5 seconds behind race leader Kevin Swindell. Since the drop of the green flag, he has been dominant. 2-second lead over Matt Lofton. Tonight, the world's toughest truckers fire up their rigs for a full-throttle battle royale. Things are going to get wild here in the Windy City. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Chicago tonight, 7:30 Eastern, live on Speed.
Got a first-time pole sitter for the truck race tonight.
Yeah, we were going to have a first-time pole sitter because the top two have never won a pole before, but it was the 5th second position start for the guy who's going to start second too.
Yeah, Joey Coulter.
So we got
often on the pole.
Yeah, we got a great battle building there in the Camping World Truck Series. Again, that's taking place a little bit later this evening. Right now, Kevin Swindell has led every lap. 21 in the book, 79 to go. Swindell, Matt Lofton, Frank Kimmel, Nelson Canache, and Ryan Reed are your top 5.
We saw how good a car that Kevin Swindell had at Pocono earlier this year, last month, and had some tire issues there, did not get the finish that he deserved. And you see right now, I think the guy he's probably thinking most about isn't the guy running second, which is Matt Lofton, but it's his teammate Brennan Poole now, who's looking to try to get by Spencer Gallagher for the 6th spot. Brennan Poole in 20 laps already got to 7.
Unbelievable how good that race car is.
It really is. I told you on the break there that I thought it was a little bit ambitious to say that we could be in the top 10 by lap 20, and Billy proved me wrong. I mean, they've made a heck of a move there through the field.
How about this wild of cars?
Frank Kimmel's call there for Nelson Canache down to the bottom of the racetrack, but takes the spot away from Frank Kimmel.
Yeah, Frank Kimmel was slowed by the lap car there, and Nelson Canache took advantage of that and was able to get a little bit of a run on him. Was able to get by him to move back up into 3rd.
It looks like they've passed Matt Lofton here, yeah.
So Lofton dropping back just a bit. As we saw him up front, was running in the 2nd spot behind Kevin Swindell, and now Canache and Kimmel have moved by him. We're riding along with Matt Lofton.
See, Frank's going to come up on the lap car. I think that's Buster Graham in the 88. Buster, I don't think knew he was there. Actually, he might even have got a little bit sideways. But look at the run that Nelson Canache, and they make a little contact.
There wasn't a lot of room down there, and Nelson Canache saw it, saw an opening, took advantage of it, and as you mentioned, a little rub in his racing.
The way that this racetrack's laid out, it definitely lends itself well if a guy gets a little bit sideways and loses momentum. You're really going to have to try and run up there and use every bit of the ground that he's losing to try and pass him. And I'm sure that's what Nelson saw, was just that big open spot, and Frank didn't want to give it up. And what do you have happen there?
All right, drivers. A week ago, we saw Brennan Poole dominating at Iowa. Pulled out to a big lead, looked like he had the dominant race car. We're seeing another Venturini Motorsports car right now look dominant in Kevin Swindell. He has a 6.2 second lead over the field. Can you run too hard on a racetrack?
I think so. Especially here with the different types of rubber that have been down. Obviously it's going to take a little bit for the Hoosier rubber to get kind of seated back in the racetrack. I will say, though, that if they did not have problems in practice, I doubt they'll seat in the race, just for the simple fact that there is more rubber down. And this is a fairly hard tire. But, you definitely can push it too hard. And we've all seen what the ultimate or what the end result is.
There's the guy you were talking about right there, Brennan Poole, who had,
Ryan Reed has to go up the racetrack a bit.
Brennan wasn't sure exactly what was going to go on with the 48 of James Hilton, so he backed off to give James a little bit more room. But nonetheless, he was able to get that spot. Now he's moved up into the 5th position.
Looks like he is, once again, the dominant race car, but has a long way to go to catch up to his teammate, Kevin Swindell. Another guy running in the top 10, Alex Bowman, running in that 10th spot, right?
Yeah, and Rick, some real concern from the St. Jude's research team. They are talking on the radio about a bad vibration on the right front, and Paul Andrews, his crew chief, just told him, if you need to pit, get in here. Let's not wreck that thing. Keep in mind that Alex Bowman comes into this race just 75 points out in 3rd. He started up in 6th or 7th, has dropped back a few positions. He's in 10th right now, but he's having a really bad vibration on the right front.
And I've heard you drivers say many times it doesn't get better. when you're on the racetrack. A vibration doesn't normally get better.
No, unfortunately it doesn't, and it just seems to keep going and getting worse.
So we'll keep our eye on the 22 of Bowman. A little vibration with that race car. Nothing but clear sky for Kevin Swindell out front. Check out the new Speed Mobile website, optimized for your phone. Get the expert analysis, results, stats, videos, and photos you're looking for as soon as they become available. Get more at speed.com or m.speed.com on your phone. Riding along with Frank Kimmel is Kimmel running in the 3rd spot. We see that 55 of Kevin Swindell putting the 66 a lap down. That's his teammate.
Another one of the Venturini cars, Mark, was actually in a top 10 in practice. We reported earlier, had a problem in qualifying, had to go to the back of the pack, but with the pace that Kevin Swindell is setting now, already a lap down.
A third of the race in the books, and Thompson running in the 17th spot, the first car a lap down. 16 cars on the lead lap, but if Kevin Swindell has anything to say about it, he's going to continue to put guys a lap down.
Yeah, he certainly is, and Justin and I have been watching the lap monitor, and Brennan Poole now, who has moved up into the 4th spot, is running very comparable laps to what Kevin Swindell runs when they're out of traffic. When they clean track to clean track, Brennan Poole right now is matching Kevin Swindell's speed. So I think Kevin right now has opened up an 8-second lead over another one of his teammates, Nelson Canache, and he would love to see this thing go green to hold that 8-second lead.
Yeah, absolutely. We were just talking about it too, is the fact that, you know, Kevin's out there and he's really not pushing it as hard as he probably could, but this racetrack lends itself well to just being kind of patient, and you know, right now he's doing that, and obviously the lap times are really good. So you know, between those two, they're definitely the fastest of the group, you know, pretty considerable, by a pretty considerable amount.
Pretty long green flag run here. About 30 laps up to this point. That means that green flag pit stops are going to be coming up pretty soon. We'll be back for those. Kevin Swindell has been the dominant car in this one for Venturini Motorsports. He has a 10-second lead over his teammate Nelson Canache. Running in the number 35. He is running 2nd. Then it's Frank Kimmel in 3rd. Brennan Poole has made his way up into the top 5. He runs in the 4th spot now after starting at the back of the field. And Ryan Reed, another one of the Venturini Motorsports entries, is in 5th. That means, by my count, you have 4 of the top 5 that are driven by Venturini Motorsports.
Yeah, that's a pretty good effort here.
That's a pretty solid effort early on in this one.
You know, I think one thing we didn't mention, or maybe we did, was that Bill had been voted into the Italian American Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And was honored for that earlier this week. He's had so many great accomplishments and very deserved. The Venturini family has done an amazing thing in motorsports. They've really made their niche right here in the ARCA Racing Series, with Big Bill winning 2 championships, and then Billy has won a couple races in the ARCA Racing Series, but has made the transition into crew chief and car owner.
Yeah, as we watch Frank Kimmel here right along right now in the 3rd spot. You know, we talked earlier about the fact that it was their wedding anniversary, 39th wedding anniversary. And that makes me think that Kathy's a saint. I mean, that's just me because I know them well. But
oh yes,
no, I'm just kidding.
Always a smile on their face.
Oh, yeah, just kidding. Bill's a great guy, and always has been fun to be around all these years. Here you see Frank Kimmel's right hand's going to sleep a little bit, so he's stretching his fingers out a little bit, and that happens here. There's a little bit of vibration no matter what, even if these tires are high-speed balanced. This racetrack has some bumps, but nonetheless, your hand's on that steering wheel all the time, and for as long as it is, as we watch Brennan Poole go for another spot, going for 3rd, your hands will fall asleep a little bit.
Absolutely, the harmonics here of just what comes through the steering wheel are pretty amazing, and you definitely want to stretch those fingers out, because it can get, you know, a little bit numbing there after a while.
And it's been a long green flag run, and now, Ray, we have 3 Venturini cars in the top 3 here at Chicago.
Well, and a big discussion, Rick, down here about when do you come to the pit area. These guys can go a fairly long distance, but the question is, how much do you push the car? How much do you push the right front tire? They're actually thinking, oh, it looks like Spencer Gallagher may be blowing up in that Allegiant Air car, guys. This could be a caution. If that's the case, that'll answer this question. But Billy Venturini was up on the top of the pit box over on the 55 team trying to get a plan of when they should come to the pits, and the yellow is out, so that'll answer our questions.
Second caution comes out, and again we saw the smoke rolling out from behind the 23 of Spencer Gallagher, and so an unfortunate event for that team, but probably fortunate for a lot of guys who weren't sure exactly on what lap they wanted to come onto pit road.
Spencer was having a great race. He was running up there on the top and really making some ground up on these guys, and it's a shame to see that engine expire like that.
Came off a top 10 finish at Iowa just last week, but as you mentioned, it's going to be very good timing for a lot of guys, and that 10-second lead that Kevin Swindell had is gone.
Gone. And one of the other things that takes out of the equation now is everybody should be able to make it to the end, with, at least as far as fuel goes.
Yeah, I think so. I think these cars still have the 22-gallon fuel, still like the Cup cars used to run back a few years ago. So they can go, probably 65 laps or so. So they're going to pit here with about 53 laps to go. So I think everyone will be in their window, and they'll get a great opportunity to take a look at their tires too, because we've run now 46 laps. So they'll have a good idea whether those tires are going to look good for an extra 10 laps.
Well, I think one of the things that's good about having a long green flag run like this is the fact that now they know what it's going to be like. It's going to be a little bit longer. They're going to have to go, probably right around the same distance, maybe a little bit longer on this next run, but they're going to at least know what the cars are going to do. And I can promise you some of these guys are going to be very grateful they're going to make some adjustments on these cars before they get to go again.
About a 40-lap green flag run we just had, so they are going to be able to figure out as far as tire wear what is going right and wrong for each team. And pit road is open, so we will see the field make their way onto pit road as they come out of turn number 4 and head down pit road. Again, led by the 55 of Kevin Swindell. Extremely dominant early on in this one. He has led every lap, and now the field following him onto pit road. Jim.
Top of your screen, the yellow number 35 of Venezuela, Nelson Canache, comes down in second position. His crew chief this race is Kevin Caldwell, longtime veteran teammate, getting coached to his pit stall by his driver coach, Sean Case. They're going to go 4 Hoosier tires and fuel, a little bit of air pressure in the right rear to get that car working just right. Nelson Canache again, 4 tires a bit slow on the right front. They're coming around and change left, splits down, go down to Ray.
Jim, you can see on the right side of the screen that Kevin Swindell has pit stall number 1. Right behind him, his teammate in the 25 of Brennan Poole. Poole a little bit tight on the center, so they're going to change the track bar. So far for the 55, he said, I don't want to change a thing. This car is absolutely perfect. They'll get 4 tires on that Curb Records race car. He'll be off pit road very, very quickly. The 25 is going to have a hold up on the right rear. The 25 came in 3rd, but he's going to roll out in about 5th.
Great pit work by Chris Buescher's guys to gain 3 spots. We've seen that pit crew do a nice job throughout this season.
And Kimmel's guys also doing a great job. They gained 2 spots. When we come back, green flag flies at Chicagoland once again. Welcome back under our second caution of the day here at Chicagoland Speedway. And Ahrens is going to give a lucky dog to Robert Bonoso. So he will get back on the lead lap. That will put 15 on the lead lap. Swindell still dominating. And green flag just flying here at Chicagoland Speedway once again. The Ansell Activarmr 150 and into the newly paved area. And it looks as though, can he stay off that wall? Will Kimmel does in the 68. And that kilt number 68 slides to the inside wall, stays off the inside wall. We stay green.
Yeah, Will needs to be very careful now. If he has a flat tire, those tires will come apart and do more damage than sometimes than the wall would have done.
Right from the very restart, Kevin Swindell jumped out to about a 10-car length lead over Frank Kimmel.
Will Kimmel was running in the nice spot when that spin took place at the exit of turn number 2.
Brennan Poole, who was so strong, making his way up into the top 5, now battling with the 17. Take another look at what happened to the 68. Looks like that slower car, the 95, made him check up. Mike Levine.
There's some pretty significant right front damage there too, and it looks like the engine may have been rolling over backwards. So hopefully none of those, damaged spots in the car will hurt it moving forward, because they had a really good car, and he was doing a great job coming up there through the field.
Got a spin there.
Once again, another one. This time it's the 66.
Mark
Thompson goes sideways, and that brings the caution out for the 3rd time.
We had a great view right there for just a moment of our 3 point leaders racing together, all for the 4th position. Chris Buescher has 4th, Brendan Poole 5th, and Alex Bowman 6th. That's our top 3 in points.
So Thompson was running in the 16th spot as he goes sideways into the grass, bringing out caution number 3. Take another look
That's Tim Andrews, the 53 car there. This is Mark Thompson. It doesn't look like he made any contact, certainly not with the inside wall.
Qualifying earlier today, this was the wild ride that he had. And right down pit road.
Now, can you imagine that,
Yeah, Mike
Alfano is coming up. I'm done with my qualifying effort. I held my breath there, qualified. I'm okay. And then the car's going to come down on pit road and hit me.
He's probably got to, starting to pull his seatbelts loose and all that, and that would be quite the view. This is going to be a huge help to Will Kimmel right here. I don't believe he had pitted before the caution came out, so now he's going to get a chance to come down, fix his damage. Obviously, Mark Thompson's going to want to come down and get a fresh set of Hoosiers and go back out there. We've talked about this tire being really hard,
right?
And it takes a couple laps to get going, and I think we're seeing the results of that.
Pit road's open right now, and really no takers. Obviously, Will Kimmel will more than likely make his way to pit road, but
Mark Thompson looks like he's going to make the move onto pit road as well.
Yeah, but again, I think these guys are certainly in their pit window, and this is going to give them just a little bit more cushion in the event of some green-white checker attempts at green-white checkers.
Again, a relatively short race for the ARCA Racing Series, just 100 laps, 150 miles. We've talked about the fact that Venturini has the field pretty much covered right now, as far as the top three were all Venturini until Frank Kimmel jumped into the mix there. And this is the retro paint schemes that we're seeing. These aren't the cars of today. Those are the ones they were running back in the 80s.
And that was his pit crew. Remember, he had an all-female pit crew back in the 80s. There's Bill and Kathy right there.
Somebody said something that maybe that the female pit crew members came this weekend or something.
Yes, they were going to come.
They were going to come this weekend. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Very innovative too.
Again, yeah, they were. They had a lot of fun. I know that when Bill said that he talked about the all-female pit crew, they had a great time. And now running in the second spot, Frank Kimmel in that 44. For more on him, here's Jim.
Well, guys, we know now that practice was yesterday evening. We qualified this morning, and now we're in full race sunshine here. And Frank Kimmel, actually, 9-time champs, the only previous race winner here at Chicago, and only 9 top 10 finishes in 11 races. Sluffy, right? Yeah, he's not doing his job. But actually on the racetrack, Frank's been doing really well. He said the car was getting tight in the center, then it was getting tighter on exit. They fixed it under that pit stop. They said they had to run on the line. So Frank Kimmel, as you know, likes to run a little bit higher. He had to run on the line because the car was getting too tight. That's been fixed. He likes how the car feels right now, guys. We're going green.
Green flag back in the air. Kevin Swindell bringing him to the green flag, but this time on the outside. Here comes Kimmel challenging.
Another great restart for Frank Kimmel. See if he can do anything with Swindell. Swindell stays on the throttle through the middle of 1 and 2. Opens up a couple car lengths.
Again, in the ARCA Racing Series, the lap down cars can start on the inside if they choose to, and that's what we saw out of the 5 of Bobby Gerhardt. He chose to start on that inside line.
Here right now, Mark Thompson, the 66 car that spun a few moments ago. He is the only car we have 1 lap down, so he's in position now. If we get another caution flag to get that Aaron's lucky dog. Bobby Gerhardt right now being shown 2 laps down.
And again, from the restart, Kevin Swindell pulls out to about a 5-car length lead over second place Frank Kimmel. Nelson Canache, Brennan Poole racing for the 3rd spot. Here comes Brennan Poole looking to the inside of that 35.
See the 17 of Chris Buescher trailing that side-by-side battle.
We talked about this tire, and it takes a few laps to get going, and it just seems like Kevin's car really accelerates well right off the bat. And some of those other guys were struggling a little bit. And I think, once they get settled in, they seem to be matching the lap times pretty close. But early in a run, that 55 car is just absolutely dominant.
And his teammate, the 25 of Brennan Poole, has been fast all weekend long here at Chicago. But because of an issue with post-qualifying through their technical line, they were relegated to the back starting position, but he's worked his way up into the top 5, currently running in 4th, trying to battle for that 3rd spot with his teammate Nelson Canache.
Right behind them, we see the 22 of Alex Bowman has been able to get by Chris Buescher. Alex now up to 5th, Chris Buescher back to 6th.
2 different lines here from the teammates. Nelson Canache goes to the lower portion of the racetrack, and we saw the 25 of Brennan Poole move his way up the racetrack. Ray.
Well, let me add on the 25 real quickly, Rick. You know, they did lose a couple of spots on that first round of pit stops. The problem was when they went to hang the tire in the left rear, it hit the fender and got tight on the hub. So they did lose a few seconds there, but the race car is still every bit as good. And right behind him, you see that number 22, that St. Jude's car. We talked about a bad vibration. Well, Alex Bowman came on the radio just before that round of pit stops and said, it's gotten better. I ran down there and looked at all their tires and wheels. It looked like there was no oblong look to the studs or anything, so they feel like maybe it was just something that he got some dirt on the tires or whatever, but it did go away, and now the 22 is going to take that position possibly away from the number 25. Good battle side by side.
Yeah, Ray, since you started talking about the 25 of Brennan Poole, it looks like he'd lost a little bit. Justin and I were just looking at him. Looks like his car's a little bit loose. They may have made some adjustments on that pit stop, and this car doesn't appear to be quite as good as it was.
We talked about the long run and what the car needs at the end of a run, and they may have made an adjustment based on that. And you know, at the end of the race, that car may be perfect, but unfortunately, he's losing ground to not only Kevin Swindell, but a lot of these other guys in front of him, and it's going to be hard to get that back, you know, moving forward.
Out in front of the field by 2 seconds now. Kevin Swindell has that lead over Frank Kimmel, Nelson Canate, Brennan Poole, Alex Bowman, your top 5. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is presented by Ansell. For over 100 years, the world leader in hand protection. 65 laps complete, 35 to go from Chicagoland. Still coming up here on Speed Center. And then it's the setup with Chris Devoda at 7:30 Eastern, followed by the American Ethanol 2:25. Just after 8 o'clock, the green flag will fly.
Great field of trucks here for this truck race tonight.
And now it is the ARCA Racing Series turn. And again, Kevin Swindell with a 3.3 second lead over Frank Kimmel has been dominant. He has led all 66 laps that have been run.
We've been watching the scoring monitor during our commercial break, and we saw that Brennan Poole had actually lost a little bit of ground. He was racing with his teammate Nelson Canate and wasn't able to get by him, then lost some ground. We saw Alex Bowman try to make a move on him. Well, now Brennan Poole's car, the last 2 or 3 laps has been the fastest car on the racetrack. That car's coming around.
It really is, and one of the things that I'm noticing is he's moved his lineup. We saw Spencer Geller earlier running the top line. And I haven't seen any of the guys running up front here lately running the top. And,
trouble again. Mark Thompson is around.
Thompson goes around coming out of turn number 2. He's going to try to keep it off the wall, and he does. And no caution has come out yet. So they stay green with 33 laps remaining as the field working their way down that backstretch and in front of the 66 of Thompson.
You know, one thing I do want to mention here, that the officials at Chicagoland Speedway have paved that area from turn 2 to turn number 3, and that probably has kept Will Kimmel and Mark Thompson from getting into the inside wall.
Absolutely, and you know, you carry so much speed off of turn 2 here, and it's so treacherous. We see Brennan Poole going to the outside there.
Speaking of carrying speed, Brennan Poole doing just that as he takes second away from Frank Kimmel.
Yeah, that outside line is definitely what that car wanted, Justin.
Absolutely. You see the amount of distance that he puts on Frank there going on the back straightaway. Once you run that top line, it's about the same entry and middle, but it's definitely a huge advantage to getting off the corner and making those straightaways a lot longer.
Coming into this race, it was Chris Buescher, your point leader, then Brennan Poole, Alex Bowman, Frank Kimmel, and Chad Hockenbraugh were the top 5 in points. And right now we've got Kevin Swindell out in front, but Brennan Poole running second and beginning to run down his teammates. So Brennan Poole maybe having a good points day here in Chicago.
Great side-by-side battle right there for the 5th spot. Matt Lofton on the inside, Alex Bowman on the outside. There's Chris Buescher, the 17, trying to determine which way to go, inside or outside.
That's a power move right there to drive up the inside and be able to clear him like that.
30 laps of racing remain as Swindell has a 4-second lead over Poole, Kimmel, Canate, and Lofton, your top 5. Then it's Bowman, Buescher, Hockenbraugh, Reed, and Andrews, your top 10. Welcome back. Ansell Activarmr 150, and now just 25 laps of racing to go from Joliet, Illinois, and Chicagoland Speedway. One of the big stories has been Venturini Motorsports, but not the guy so much out front, but the guy who's come from the back to the front, Brennan Poole.
Made some great moves. Got by Tim Andrews, Alex Bowman. There's Chad Hockenbrough, Spencer Gallagher, Ryan Reed, another one of his teammates. Matt Lofton, who started on the front row. 9-time champion Frank Kimmel.
He passed him twice. Passed him earlier and then passed him just for second moments ago. And so Brennan Poole has got to the second position. Does he have anything for his teammate? He's still 2.7 seconds behind Swindell, but running in that second spot. Ray.
Hey, Rick, I just wanted to give you a quick update. Remember, when they pitted back on 47, Brennan Poole was a little bit tight in the center. They raised the track bar and made an air pressure adjustment, and that has really brought that car around. But I'm sure there's a little bit of quandary for Billy Venturini, who you see on the left there. You know, he crew chiefs the number 25 for Brennan Poole, so obviously he wants that car to win, and that's that beautiful old Amico look that his dad used to drive back in the middle 80s. But the big problem is the car that's out front, Kevin Swindell, that big blue one, that's the same paint scheme that Billy ran over the years, so I think he likes either one of them.
Well, at the end of the day, the check's going to come to Venturini Motorsports.
It is. And you know, I'm going to pretty much guess that Kathy Venturini is going to be the one that's going to be getting that check. So she's going to be the one that's happy. But, you know, unfortunately, I believe I followed that Billy's paint scheme a few times and may have even rubbed doors with it a few times. And so it's definitely cool to see.
Nightmares maybe you're seeing with this car?
No nightmares. But it is cool to see them do the throwback paint schemes. I think that was something that when I walked in the garage the other day and saw all the different paint schemes, that's really cool.
Great battle here for the fourth spot. Nelson Canache, Chris Buescher, Matt Lofton. We saw Canache get a little bit loose at the exit of turn 2 just a few moments ago.
And we're starting to hear, as we ride along with Lofton, we're starting to hear him feather that throttle a little bit more. Those tires going away just a bit. We talked about how hard they were, but another long green flag run. And so guys working the tires just a little bit more here late in this run.
And they're about a second off what they were able to run. They could run about 31.70 right after that pit stop. Now they're down into 32.60, 32.70. So
they had lost about a second from when these tires were brand new.
It's hard. I mean, once they get the heat in them and they start to get the oils coming out in the rubber, they just get slippery and really just start sliding around.
Looks like they had an issue there with the left front of that race car. Lofton has it looks like a slice just in between some of the decals there and the side of that. Ray, what's happening?
Well, he just came on the radio a minute ago, Rick, and said that the car is fine when he's in traffic. So when he pulls up behind somebody, it takes enough air off of that nose to not make it a big distraction. But he said if he's not tight in traffic, that the car is all over the place and very, very loose.
Yep, that's actually where that fender's put together. So the welds have broke on that seam.
So a little bit of a rough ride for the 16, but no problems right now for Swindell. And welcome back. Coming on to pit road, the 16 of Matt Lofton. They're complaining about maybe a right front issue of that one, Ray.
Yeah, our Team Messina rookie spotlight driver was really running well. He had a little bit of contact on the racetrack with the 17 of Chris Buescher. That may be what prompted this, but he said the vibration was so bad he had to come to pit road. So he'll pit at lap 84, and that's going to take them out of contention for another top 10.
Now as Lofton makes his way off of pit road, the battle for the lead has really heated up. 1.5 seconds now separates Swindell and Poole, and Brennan Poole has been the fastest car on the racetrack the last probably 5 to 10 laps.
Oh yeah, exactly. He was probably almost 4 seconds behind at one time by the time he worked his way up to the second spot.
Well,
but he's definitely on the move.
We talked about him moving up, and it seems like that's what's been able to make him make that charge. I mean, coming through the field was one thing, but a lot of the lap down cars are running on the bottom, and you're seeing Kevin have to try and slice and dice his way through there. Brennan's moved up. He's kind of in his own lane. There's really nobody else running up there right now, and he's able to cut through this traffic very quickly, and obviously we're seeing it on the amount of time that he's picking up on Kevin there.
One lap down car in between the top 2 cars on the racetrack. Here's a battle for position. Nelson Canache and the 17 of Buescher, and Buescher gets in front of Canache for the 4th spot. We'll take a quick break. Be back for the checkered flag here in Chicago. Welcome back. Just 10 laps remaining. You know, the last driver to lead all the laps in a race back in 2004 at Kentucky, it was Ryan Hutto. And that actually was a rain-shortened race by about 50 miles.
He has certainly dominated this race, but I think right now he has his teammate on his move, somebody really up high. That was David Levine in the 45 car. David right now is being shown just outside the top 10 in the 11th, but right now I think Kevin Swindell is thinking about his teammate Brendan Poole and asking his crew chief where that 25
right.
car is.
And we saw there wasn't any lap cars in between the 55 and 25 until he got by Will Kimmel. So now Kimmel is one of the lap down cars that is in between the top two. Only 1 second separating the top two now with just 8 laps of racing to go at Chicago.
And the most important thing right now is Brendan Poole can see that lead. He can see his teammate Kevin Swindell up there in that Curb Records car, and he says, I've got to go get him.
That's a long gap to be able to close on. But, you know, when you're back there and you can see that guy, and obviously he's had to come through the field already once today, but when you can see that leader and you know that that's the guy you're racing against, it obviously, you're going to step up your speeds and try and get up there to win.
That time by, the two's lap times were separated by less than 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, only 3/100ths of a second. Now Brendan Poole had to follow Will Kimmel through the corner now, see if he can get by him cleanly at the entrance to turn number 3.
You know, Will's moved up kind of higher like Brennan's been running, and I think that slowed Brennan down just a little bit. So hopefully, you know, they can get out there and clear traffic, and we'll see what happens.
Took a line away. This is the difference between top two. You just saw the 55 go by. There is the 25 going by. Still separated by this time 1.2 seconds. So a faster lap by Kevin Swindell with just 6 laps of racing to go.
I think Brennan got a bad break there when he caught Will Kimmel where he did, but you see the gap right there. About 20 car lengths separate our first and second spot.
It'd have to be 0.2 of a second faster for Brendan Poole each lap if he wants to catch that 55 out front.
It's so easy to overdrive this racetrack too. So, you know, I'm sure he's going to be pushing hard, but unfortunately, you know, it's so easy to overdrive it. It's going to be hard to catch him.
And as hard as the 25 is running, the 55 was faster that lap. Another 1/10 of a second he put between himself and Brendan Poole.
You know, we don't know that Kevin Swindell didn't back off a little bit. Finally, he had that big lead, and then he just backed off a little bit when he saw as we got a great battle there side by side, splitting a lap car.
Oh, yeah.
He maybe backed off, and now he said, hey, he's coming, and he just steps on the gas a little bit.
You know, looking at the lap times right now, Kevin is doing everything he's got to do to be able to win this race, and I give that team a lot of credit because they've definitely had the dominant car today for sure.
Kevin Swindell's best career finish in the ARCA Racing Series, second back in 2010 at Rockingham. Looking to improve upon that today, and we see Chad Hockenbraugh chasing that 35 of Nelson Canache.
Nelson Canache looking for a career day here. He's never finished in the top 10 before. Has a great strong run, has not been out of the top 6 or 7 spots this entire race. Right now he runs 6th. Chad Hockenbraugh trying to grab that spot from him. Ryan Reed right there, that car right there just took over the 5th spot just a few moments ago.
Ryan Reed, his best finish, 9th at Pocono. You talked about Nelson Canache. Hasn't had a top 10 finish. His best was 12th at New Jersey Motorsports Park earlier this year. Chad Hockenbraugh just behind him in the 58s. He's got a couple second place finishes.
It's great to see these guys that are learning and coming here to a racetrack that is very difficult, and they're going to get their best career finish. I mean, I think that really is something to hang your head high on. I mean, this is a big event and a tough racetrack, and for these guys to be having their career days like they are, it's only going to build confidence moving forward into these next couple.
Over 100 laps. We've only been, the pace has been slowed 3 times for caution, but it has been a dominant performance by the 55 of Kevin Swindell. We see the battle continuing between Nelson Canache and the 55 of Chad Hockenbraugh.
He had a big gain that time, about a 0.3 of a second gain by Brendan Poole. He moved it within 3/4 of a second.
This time by, white flag goes in the air. One more time around, Chicagoland Speedway. The difference between the top two, 0.8 of a second. A big run on the high side for that 25 of Brendan Poole. In practice, qualifying, the dominant car. But once the green flag dropped, it has been all 55, and Kevin Swindell working his way through 3 and 4, out into the tri-oval, coming up on his first ever ARCA Racing Series win, and it will be the 55 of Swindell going to victory lane.
Here these guys continuing to race side by side. Hockenbraw looks like he's been able to get by Canache coming up on a lap car.
And now what will Canache do? He's got to check up because of that 0-6 of Tommy O'Leary. That allows the 58 of Hockenbraw to take the position as they come out of turn number 4. Hockenbraw will finish in front of the 35.
What an outstanding day. We started the show by talking about the 30th anniversary of Bill Venturini being involved in the ARCA series, and they come up with a 1-2 finish.
And a very dominant performance by both race cars. Kevin Swindell gets to celebrate in victory lane. Welcome back, everyone. Congratulating the 55 of Kevin Swindell as he works his way into victory lane here at Chicagoland Speedway. And his teammate, a valiant effort. Brennan Poole comes home in second after starting at the back of the field, and he is with Chip Trado.
Carrying the colors of the 1987 championship for Venturini Motorsports. 1.238 seconds was the difference between back to the front and a victory, Brennan. What was the difference on the racetrack catching Kevin?
Well, after that last stop, the first stop, we knew we were too tight, so we knew we were going to have to free it up a little bit. So I said, Billy, hey, man, just free this thing up a little bit in the center, and we should be pretty good. So it worked for us there in that long run, and then at the end, I'm just driving the car all I could have, all I could go and get that clean air, and I was just trying to do everything I could to get to him, and about got there with the lap traffic. We were just so close, but I'm just happy for Venturini to get a victory lane, the 30th anniversary. This is cool for him. I just feel blessed to be driving Big Bill's 87 championship cars. A lot of fun today, and I'm looking forward to the next weekend. I want to thank Texas Corral for their support. They're here. I got to take a picture with this huge cowboy, so it reminded me of home. So that was pretty cool, and I just want to thank everyone that supports me. United Stool Car Care, etc., Fit Human Performance, Queen City K9, Speed Energy. So, I'm just looking forward to the next race, and hopefully we gain a little points on Chris Buescher today.
A lot of fun to watch. Congrats on the second place run, Brennan.
Thank you, guys.
Guys.
Talked about a point run. Chris Buescher leading the points coming in. Brennan Poole was second. This time Buescher finishes fourth, Poole second. In victory lane, though, it's Kevin Swindell. Let's go down to Ray Dunlap.
And they've got the flag in his hand with Sunoco on it there, and he's going to jump out of this number 55. And as they said, 30th anniversary for Venturini Motorsports. That's going to be a Gatorade bath that he won't forget. Crew comes in here. It was a dominant fashion today. This guy won the pole. They had a pit stop. He came in first, went out first. Great day, Kevin. I know you've won a lot of races in your career, but never in a stock car on a mile and a half. How does it feel?
It's great. This is it's been a long time coming. We've had so much bad luck and everything stock car related with my career. So I can't say enough about these Venturini guys. Curb records, Infinity Stucco, and this Gibbs motor was a heck of a deal. And Keith and all these guys just did a great job getting this car together, and a great pit stop by those guys, and everything played out.
I know when you won the pole you were confident, but Brennan Poole, your teammate, had a pretty good challenge on you a few times. Were you concerned, or did you know you had the best car to beat?
I felt like we were good, and as tight as I got in when I got to traffic, I knew if I just kind of, conserved my stuff, if he did get to me, I'd be able to race him pretty well. So I was just trying to keep a steady pace and, not making mistakes and get through the lap track without any trouble.
He's been close a couple of times. Now it's in victory lane, the number 55, and Kevin Swindell celebrating here in Chicago.
So many people talked about the bad luck that Kevin Swindell had to endure. Well, it's good luck at Chicagoland as he wins his first ARCA Racing Series race, and he led it in dominant fashion, all 100 laps. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is presented by Ansell. For over 100 years, the world leader in hand protection. Brought to you in part by Messina Wildlife Management. Stop animal damage with Messina Wildlife Management. And by Aaron's. You don't need credit. All you need is Aaron's. Welcome back. 100 laps in the books for the ARCA Racing Series, and it was Kevin Swindell in victory lane, but a pretty impressive performance for third place, Frank Kimmel. He's with Jim.
Close quarters, hard-fought racing at 175 miles an hour. That's what Frank Kimmel's left rear door looks like. And Frank, another top 5 run here. What was the difference here at Chicagoland for you today?
They were just a lot faster than I was all day. My hat's off to Venturini Motorsports. They got us covered pretty hard on these mile and a halves, and we tried really hard. The Menards, Ansell's, Toyota was really good. Probably the best we've had on the mile and a half program so far, and I tried everything I could to keep up with them. I just didn't have enough today.
Second top 5, 6th here at Chicagoland, and we're coming into Kimmel season, boys, on the dirt. Ray?
Well, Jim, I am standing in victory lane right now with a very proud fellow. This is Bill Venturini. Happy 30th anniversary, happy 39th anniversary for you and Kathy, and congratulations on another win.
Well, thank you, and I'm glad that we could do it in front of all the people at Speed Channel, and Wendy and Jared, wish you were here, but proud of my guys, proud of my people. Kevin Swindell, Brendan Poole, coming from last all the way up to second. You know, phenomenal people. You know, Ryan Reed finishes 5th. Great job. Nelson Kanachi runs 2nd all day, ends up 7th. This weekend was so special to us, and I'm just so proud of everyone. And I'm glad my son just set the cars up perfect. It was just, I can't ask for anything better.
How about being in Chicago to do all of that?
Yeah, of course, that's what I mean. Being in my hometown. Now we won here twice. My 30th anniversary. The racetrack, you know, honored me this weekend. It's just been great. I couldn't ask for anything better.
Congratulations. That's two-time champion Bill Venturini, and it was awful cool to see those retro paint schemes today, guys.
Ray, did he kiss you? Normally, Bill's pretty good.
He did kiss the winner.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was going to be the winner or you, but he's normally very good about that. Stay with us. Take a look at our unofficial point standings for the ARCA Racing Series. Again, this is race 12 of 20, and 35 points separate the top two, Chris Buescher and Brennan Poole. Brennan Poole with the 2nd place finish today, and his teammate goes to victory lane, Kevin Swindell, but not in the top 10.
Yeah, great day by Chris Buescher. Rebounds from that 13th place finish last week at Iowa. Has a top 5, finishes 4th, gains 10 points on Alex Bowman.
Right. Frank Kimmel still in the hunt, running 4th in the point standings, looking for his 10th championship, but still looking to get to victory lane after a 3rd place finish here. Justin Allgaier, thank you so much for joining us up here. Good luck tomorrow in the Nationwide race.
Thank you so much. Glad to be on again. It was a lot of fun.
You've won here before in a Nationwide Series.
We won last year, a year ago, so hopefully we can do it again.
Do it again.
The celebration will continue for a long time for Venturini Motorsports here in their home city of Chicago as they got to victory lane. Next on Speed, it will be the 10. Always entertaining. Maybe not quite as entertaining as what we saw here today, but make sure you stick around because you got Speed Center coming up and the trucks later this evening.